Hello, and welcome back to another episode of This Round is on Me. We've all been through that teenage acne phase and hated it. And we all have that girlfriend who has the perfect skin, and we can't suppress the ensuing envy. But with inclusion and diversity becoming the norm, when it comes to skincare, is it still just a trend, or are we genuinely getting more comfortable in our own skin? What's really the role of cosmetic dermatologists today? My guest is Dr. Jaishree Sharad, a distinguished and respectable name in the field of cosmetic dermatology. She's been practicing for over 22 years and has been successful in rising to be one of the most internationally renowned doctors in her field. Join us after a quick break where we'll be talking to Dr. Sharad about exactly how to get comfortable in one's own skin.
Hey everyone, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. Attention please! Your favorite finance podcast is getting bigger and better. For all you loyal listeners, we present you Club Paisa Vaisa. What's special? Well, get the latest episodes 3 days before release, content that is ad-free, bonus content and access to the full show archive. So get your yearly membership today for only Rs 699. Log on to club.ivmpodcast.com/paisavaisa. On Cock and Bull, Saras, Shad and Puneet discuss Mahua Moitra's fiery dig at the center and MP Police's mind-boggling move of arresting 9,000 criminals in a single night. On the Filter Coffee podcast, Karthik talks to Neha Ahuja, head of marketing at Spotify. They discuss Spotify Wrapped 2022, a personalized analysis of people's listening habits that was all the rage on social media platforms. On the Advertiser's Guide to the Galaxy, Karthik looks at a really clever positioning brainwave from PhonePe Insurance that helps them stand out. And on Explain Like I'm 10, Meghna talks to restaurateur Gauri Devidayal and comedian Abbas Momin on how to run a restaurant. Once again, do not forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcast.com. We have got some super cool and exciting stuff over there for you and your loved ones. Follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you like our shows, do spread the word. You know, it really helps us a lot. And of course, do not forget to rate and review our shows wherever you are listening to them. You can also find all our video shows on youtube.com/IVMpodcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week, Kotak Privilege Program, Capgemini, and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Welcome to the show, Dr. Sharad. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
No, I have to say that when I was first introduced to the idea of having you on the show, I was like, what am I going to talk about? Because, I'm like the last person who probably looks after my skin, who does all the things I should be doing, or I'm like, I don't wear makeup, nothing. What am I going to talk to Dr. Sharad about?
I hope after this conversation you'll start some skincare. You'll get
I hope
inspired.
so. But I started sort of thinking about it a lot more, and I realized there's actually so much that I want to know. And just to sort of start with, over a period, I mean, you've been in this business, you said 27 years, 23 years. I think that's long enough to have seen an evolution, if there has been one. So has the definition of beauty changed over a period of time, and especially after cosmetic dermatology was introduced to people?
I think yes. There is a huge shift now when it comes to beauty and skincare. But if you go back in time, you think of all those 3,000 years ago when Cleopatra used to bathe in sour milk to look beautiful and fair. And then you had the Greeks and you had the Romans. They were using wine, they were using tartaric acid, they were using grape, juice extracts and stuff to look beautiful. And pumice stones and all were back then, they were introduced back then. So beauty has come a long way. And if you look at those Renaissance painters, Leonardo da Vinci and, Donatella, all of them had these golden proportions, the 5 proportions that we use today when we recreate faces. So you see them in all the paintings, not just faces, right?
Interesting.
So, and when it comes to a child, even a toddler is always more attracted to a beautiful face or an attractive face. And then you end up saying, look at your child even from now, from birth. And no, it's not that. It's an innate, inborn quality that we humans have. That if you look at something more attractive, something more neat, something more, preserved, look at the ambience here for that matter. Right? It's lovely. You want to be here. If the place was cluttered, you wouldn't want to be here. I wouldn't even want to talk. So it's a holistic thing, and it's always been there. But the definitions have changed now with social media, with influencers, with all these, the reality shows that are happening. There's a very thin line. You cross the border and you go on to becoming obsessive. And that's what people should understand and draw the line and not cross over.
That's absolutely, I think that's a great way of thinking about it. But, tell me, what does cosmetic dermatology actually mean? Just break it down for us a little bit. Is it about treating skin-related issues, or has it actually, does it veer more towards, beauty and vanity? And I want you to, I'm being as blunt as possible, but, tell us, break it down for us.
I think people do not understand the words cosmetic dermatology. It is a super specialization. So just as you do surgery, MS general surgery, you do your MBBS, then you do a 3-year post-graduation in surgery, and then you do a cardiothoracic surgery, you become a cardiothoracic surgeon, right? Similarly, you do your MBBS, 5.5 years, and then you do 3 years of dermatology. During the dermatology curriculum, we are not taught about peels and lasers and fillers and Botox and all of that. It's just hardcore dermatology, psoriasis, pemphigus, all the various disorders. And then you super specialize in cosmetic dermatology. So that is cosmetic dermatology. We've had it forever. And we've had the Cosmetic Dermatology Society of India, of which I was vice president for almost 7 years. And so that's where you're taught about lasers, you're taught about skin tightening devices, simple things like peels, a little more in detail about moisturizers, skin actives, sunscreens, all the products, the cosmeceuticals, and then the fillers and the Botox and the threads. So that is cosmetic dermatology. It's not vanity. Now, there are two aspects to it. Back in the day, why did I start dermatology? I wanted to be a pediatrician, by the way. Okay. And then during my internship, when you had to be in, we had to rotate, right? You had to be in the pediatrics department for a month, gynecology for a month, and dermatology for a month. So I just couldn't I'm a weakling, very emotional, couldn't see these kids suffer. And I said, my God, I've wanted to do this, but I don't think I can. And then when I went into dermatology and the gratification that you had at the end of the day, when a person with acne, who was suffering for ages, suddenly has got so much of confidence because the face is cleared up. Or, I remember I was in JJ Hospital and these parents had come really from a village, and they were ready to touch the feet of all of us because the daughter was getting married, because we finally managed to cure the vitiligo, leukoderma. And, in our country, it's a huge taboo, although 2 to 5% of our population suffer from it. But if you have the white patches, it's horrendous. It's like, oh my God, this is sinful.
Yeah.
And how can we get the girl married, or how can we get the boy married?
Yeah.
So it was that. We didn't have cosmetic dermatology then. One aspect of cosmetic dermatology is treating acne scars, leukoderma, hyperpigmentary disorders. So all of that, it just brings back the self-esteem and the confidence in a person. That's not vanity. The other aspect is, yes, you do have treatments to turn back the clock by a couple of years. You can't defy age. I'm 49, and I love myself. When I look at myself in the mirror, I feel good, and that's how you should feel. If you're feeling good with whatever face you have, so be it. But if you're not feeling good about something, if something constantly nagging you, maybe you can seek the help of a cosmetic dermatologist to tweak a few things.
Fair. I think I think that's well put.
And how can we get the girl married, or how can we get the boy married?
Yeah. No, but when there's of course the whole brouhaha that we know about the fairness cream controversy, and with a company changing the name of the product, and just because there is a sort of shifting consciousness that is trying to move away from this, the superficial color of our skin and go deeper than that, right? Um, let's just talk about what this obsession is that I think we as a culture have with fairer skin.
You hit the chord. This is my favorite topic because I'm always promoting about dark is beautiful. You know, this whole concept of fairness, how has it come? If you look at our ancient literature, whether it's even our epics like, for example, Mahabharata and Ramayana, look at Lord Krishna, Lord Rama, Lord Shiva. They were all what? They were all Shamavarna. They were dark, right? Even Draupadi is described as dark and beautiful. And Valmiki, who was from lower class, was described to have Shvetavarna, fair, And then I think it was the invasion of the Aryans. They were these fair-skinned people. And they completely dominated and took over the Dravidians, the native inhabitants who were dark in color. And then you had Portuguese and Dutch and French and English. I mean, the British colonization. We all know that if you were fair-skinned or slightly more fairer than the rest, you got a better job. Otherwise, you weren't even...
You were treated better, basically.
You were treated better. You weren't even allowed in restaurants otherwise. So I think that's where it all started, these invasions. And the mindset changed. And then we had our movies and our all the advertisements and everybody promoting fair skin. So if you were fairer, you got the job. You got the lead role. And then you have now, of course, so many endorsements. The fairness creams, everything, you pick up a soap, fairness, it makes you fair. A serum makes you fair. A day cream makes you fair. A sunscreen, I don't understand how. But you have to break that. We need to understand that, our color, the melanin, is because of this. It's a pigment called eumelanin. And eumelanin is, the more eumelanin you have, the darker you are, but the more sun protected you are. So if you see, we don't wrinkle as much as the white.
True.
Right? Yes, we don't get freckles, but we don't wrinkle. We don't get skin cancer. When I was studying in Miami, I would see about, easily, without exaggeration, about 15 to 20 skin cancers in a day. Before that, when I did my dermatology in Mumbai, for those 3 years, I had seen only 2 skin cancers.
Wow.
And in my entire life of 23 years of practice, I have seen skin cancers, but they're only Caucasians who've come to India and settled here and they're working here. I haven't, probably in one Indian I've seen skin cancer. Aren't we blessed? So why are we running behind this whole, thing about becoming fair? And why don't we just embrace our skin color? I really like that concept of dark is beautiful, which started in 2009. And now I think things are changing. People are, accepting dusky skin, and whether it's ads or whether it's all these models, you have, dusky beauties, and it's a great thing. But I think the mindset has to change all over. This is a small percentage which is changing, but everybody has to change.
I actually heard this. In fact, I think when I was researching for this conversation, and I heard you mention about Dainik Bhaskar.
Yeah.
Being one of the first newspapers, Hindi medium newspapers, who earlier this year announced that they would not accept any matrimonial ads which mention skin color.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is just amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, and then after I heard it, I Googled it and I was like, oh my God, this is really amazing. And, why didn't sort of more people cover this, this announcement? I think it's incredible. And, you talk about brands. We see so many more brands now encouraging this inclusive environment and, where people have sort of, probably going to get bashed for saying this, but like imperfect skin or like plus size bodies or, gender fluidity, etc. That's all being embraced and showcased in, their marketing campaigns. And like the model, Winnie Harlow, she's, I think, the sort of...
vitiligo.
Yeah, she's kind of become the almost an ambassador for embracing your skin. And she's modeled for brands like Puma and Fendi and, Victoria's Secret. I mean, like, that's just incredible. But then, on the other hand, there's this entire beauty business. And I would say, to a large extent, in India, we are still finding that sort of concept of perfection and perfect skin and fairness, etc. is still, being. I think we're still not there yet
No.
in India. Where we do thrive on that
No, no,
perfection.
you're right. I mean, we're still not there. I think social media is hugely to blame. And, where people are, and it's not just India, I think it's even abroad. I have young girls who come to me and they want lips like, if I may say names, then they want lips like Kendall Jenner and Kylie Jenner, or people
So,
who want
how do
bodies
you
like,
reconcile with this?
you know,
Where, like, what is your advice to people like who want to look like XYZ, and how do you kind of balance that idea of being comfortable in your own skin versus what you mentioned earlier, which is that removing sort of imperfections or blemishes gives you more confidence because of this innate need to
yeah,
look at all things
yeah.
pretty.
So as I said earlier, that there's a very thin line. Now, if you have a lot of acne and you get it treated, the acne clears, you automatically
Yeah.
gain confidence, and I don't think there's anything wrong in that. Similarly, if you've developed a hyperpigmentary skin disorder, where there's something like probably an allergy to a hair dye, which has really made your one side of the face really dark, and you are getting that treated, I don't see any harm in that, right? Because you're going back to where you were. But if you were born with certain imperfections, or if you have things like stretch marks, or you have things like freckles, they are normal, and you need to accept that. So you need to know where, to figure out that, oh, my skin needs help, and where to say, no, this is okay,
I'm almost
you
changing who
know?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine. That one pimple that I got is fine. I mean, thousands of pimples on the face, definitely not fine. That one thing is okay. So we need to know that, okay? But also, as I said, because of social media, you have all these people coming, and there are filters. The people don't realize that these are filters, they're photographs, there's makeup, there's everything, You don't see the real face, right? But you don't want to believe in that. You want to believe that, oh, that person has great skin, that person has great features, that person doesn't have a speck on the face. That's the ice which needs to be broken. And when they come to me, I really talk science. So I will take a lot of time in trying and explaining to them that if these are your lips, with age, there's bone resorption, and the upper lips do become thinner. They do curl inwards. There's no harm in doing a little lip filler to get them out. Or if you had very, very thin lips and you just can't see, there's no harm in putting a tad bit there. But doesn't mean you end up with duck lips or lips like Angelina Jolie. Those are her lips. you know so I sit with a lot of science, and I'm sure the youngsters must be feeling that, oh, she lectures a lot, but that's my duty, because I am ethical. I'm a doctor. I'm not just an aesthetician, or there's a lot of study that has gone behind it. There's a lot of moral values that have come. I've taken the pledge, the oath, that I'm going to be honest. So it's my duty. A lot of times I do lose a lot of clients, and I know that they've gone to the next person and done it. Now, that's another sad story, but at least I can sleep peacefully at night,
Absolutely.
you know?
You talk
So,
about social media and influencers, and they actually have a huge responsibility, right?
yeah.
Because of these things that you're talking about, where it can almost mask the reality, right? So, how can you sort of encourage people listening who are in this business to be more responsible and realize the impact that they're actually having on a wider audience?
It's a Herculean task, because you see so many paid partnerships, and so everybody has to begin to have a clear conscience to actually get into that movement. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think if you have whatever number of thousands of followers, and you have so many people following you and believing you blindly, then it becomes your responsibility, your moral responsibility. It's actually my humble request to all the influencers. I've seen a lot of people just use random creams, show them that, oh, this, or talk about certain, salons or certain treatments, they won't do it themselves, mind you, because behind the scenes something else is happening. So I think you need to get into that honesty and, work out of your conscience, because then you are ending up fooling a lot of people.
Fair.
I've had people who come with scarred faces, burnt faces after lockdown. Oh my God, the number of side effects that I've seen because people have used random things.
I was going to ask you about that actually, because I know in lockdown, especially because skincare products are so expensive as well, right? So, which please explain to us why that is the case. And you get this whole range. So then, why is it that the most expensive
No.
is the best? But we'll come back to that. But you mentioned lockdown, and I know a lot of people also started using these home remedies and grandmother's recipes and things like that. And I've put like papaya skin on my on my face after after it's been cut for breakfast. So is there again is that okay, or is there sort of a risk associated with following something which might be an old wives' tale, or that you've just seen on Instagram, or
I think that's a yes and a no. Okay. I'm not against home remedies. Like my mom used to apply malai, milk cream on our faces every night. I used to hate it. Okay. The smell and that greasy, sticky feeling. But milk cream is lactic acid, which is a very good moisturizer. And I'm going to be bashed for saying this, but it has skin lightening properties. So, mom did it for us every day, and
it paid off.
it paid off. I mean, so that's one thing. And then, of course, if you have acne or oily skin, or acne prone skin, you can't apply milk cream because that is going to clog your pores and give you more acne. But if you have dry skin or if you have normal skin, please go ahead and do it. Similarly, when you talk of chickpea besan, or you talk of masoor ki dal, the red lentil, you make a paste out of it and you use it as a cleanser. It's great.
I mean, I've seen people using aloe vera from what's growing in their balcony and things
which is
like
a
that.
great wound healer. Aloe vera is got wound healing properties. It's got moisturizing properties. But some people are allergic to aloe vera. So I would say just do a test patch, not on the arm, but just behind the ear, and see if you're reacting to it, don't use it. But otherwise, there's no harm in using it. What you should definitely not use, which I've seen a lot of people do, is baking soda, lime. Okay, they squeeze a dash of lime or lemon and use it on the face. Now that is citric acid, tomato slices, all these, whatever has citric acid in it, or these, acids which can alter the pH of your skin. Okay, may have been very good for your friend, but may not be good for you. May cause burns, may cause irritation. So these kind of citrus fruits should be avoided. Okay, and sometimes if you have oily skin or acne-prone skin, oils will really clog your pore. If you have dry skin, you're blessed. I mean, we've all used mustard oil during our childhood, Our body used to be massaged with, mustard oil. Yeah. Great moisturizer, whether it's coconut oil or almond oil or mustard oil, very good. I'm in for it. But if you have acne-prone skin, then you've had it. So you have to use certain home remedies the right way. Maybe you could ask a dermatologist and then go for it. I am not against it. I myself, you said papaya, I do papaya every week. That's my Sunday ritual. It's got vitamin A and beta-carotene and papain and a whole bunch of good enzymes and antioxidants. And it doesn't do much to the pH of the skin. It does give you that nice glow, and it does help in deep cleansing and stuff like that. So it's great. So you're doing the right thing, by the way, and you can continue to do so.
The one thing.
So yeah, you should know that balance. You should know what is right and what is not, and then you can go ahead.
Fair. So I think it's about maybe consulting once, and then you don't have
understanding
to
your skin type,
yeah,
and then saying, okay, these are not the things for you, so do not go and touch that.
But let's come back to the products and why are skincare products so expensive?
I think the research that goes behind it is huge. It's humongous, and the more expensive the product, the more research that has gone behind it. The raw materials are very expensive. Now, why are they expensive? I don't know. We'll have to catch the manufacturers. But these days, I'll tell you, Gauri, there are a lot of products which may be super expensive but may not be delivering. It's the money that gets into the packaging, the marketing, the hype, the PR, the this, that, everything. And I actually go and tell my patients, listen, go and use Pond's cold cream. I mean, I don't know, nothing against, for the brand. The brand is not
But
paying
expensive
me.
doesn't mean best necessarily.
Expensive doesn't mean best. But on the other hand, there are certain products, like, for example, I'll tell you my personal experience. Um, I keep getting a lot of samples, and then we also go to the manufacturing units. We see things here. So a lot of these peptide creams came to my clinic, and I have this habit of trying out everything. I'll try it on like a couple of days and then leave it. I had something here, and none of the peptide creams worked. And I was in Denver very recently, and in fact, I was the first ever Indian to give a plenary talk. I was
Wow.
representing our country, at the American
Congratulations.
Society of Derm Surgery. And thank you. And there you have all these exhibition booths where I picked up a product which had peptides in it. In about a week, my skin changed. Super expensive. So there are these kind of products where, which really work. And that's because of the kind of research that goes behind it. And it's years of research. And that is why they are expensive. So you have both types of products. And you should be able to identify, again, that is why you have to come to dermatologists,
Right,
and not
because-
just blindly, follow an Instagram or a digital media.
Yeah, no, because that's the point, right? Like for an average consumer like me, I mean, understanding the ingredients on a packaging or sort of, the claims of, organic or whatever. I mean, it's very hard, honestly, to navigate this
Yeah.
minefield of products out there, which is why I guess, yes, people like
Yeah.
you exist to
Yeah.
sort of help with that.
So these days, it's a very good thing that people are, out there. They know about a retinol or an AHA or a BHA or a nicotinamide or, niacinamide that we have actually been prescribing for eons. It's just now that the ingredients are being talked about. But that doesn't mean, you use all the ingredients. It may not be necessary. The other day, I had put up my skincare routine and I said retinol once a week. And somebody actually pounced on me and said, why once a week? It's an anti-aging. You should use it every day. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So, it's a good thing to know. But then there's a lot more behind other than just knowing the ingredient. And when you spoke of organic, how much of it is really organic? We don't know. Okay. If you put orange in a jar without a preservative, it is going to get rotten, right? So are you going to be using rotten juice on your face? No. But that product is organic. Are you taking it directly from your kitchen and applying it? That's organic,
Sure.
right? But if you're putting it in a bottle, what are the preservatives that you're adding? There are a bunch of other things, the emulsions and all of that. How much of it is really organic? How much of it is really natural? We don't know.
So,
How much? I mean, you may say, "Oh, animal not tested
Yeah.
on animals." Do we know?
yeah. So, that actually brings me to the next point, which is that I know in the US there's this very strong regulatory framework for things like food products in my business, and of course I'm sure with skincare products. What's it like over here? Is it something that we can rely on as strongly as people do in the West?
I don't think we have very strict rules and regulations. I think anybody can. So I know of manufacturing units which make products, serums for 10 companies. The same product is going to 10 different companies. The name is different, the labeling is different. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes, and there are no rules as of now.
It's all the
Strict
more
rules.
reason to be vigilant.
Yes, you've got to
and-
be more
yeah.
vigilant and careful.
Let's talk about fillers. You mentioned that earlier, and I have a friend of mine who's a little older, and she was telling me, she was very sort of casually saying that, hey, you've got these lines on your forehead. Like maybe in a few years you should think about just getting a few injections, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And honestly, she's had them, and her skin is she looks a lot younger than she probably is, but not in an artificial way, right? It's very sort of subtle and And I was like, okay, interesting. Like, I was just hearing her out. But I think our natural inclination is to, look at that very kind of
Like a taboo.
like a taboo, and like, oh,
Hush,
hey,
hush.
I don't want to like be known as having done that. I want to be someone who ages gracefully and embraces my age and my sort of natural skin. But tell us honestly, what is the taboo around this? Is this just basically because you're sort of trying to go back a few years, as you mentioned right at the beginning, or and what really is wrong with that? Take us through the psyche of this, and how should one think about it?
I don't understand this psychology of people in our country. I'm actually an international trainer for fillers. So
Wow.
I'm very passionate about fillers because you've got to do it the right way. It is basically an amalgamation of science and art. So you are a sculptor with a scientific knowledge. Now, if you know how to do it, you will do it the right way. As you said, your friend looks natural and nothing is artificial. If you don't know how to do it, you will create those pillow faces and those, frozen faces because you don't know how to do it. Now, this time when I was being awarded at in Greece, I received an award, and the person said something nice. He said, there'll be 100 students in an art class, but only 3 of them will know how to do it right. Right? That's where beauty lies, in the eyes of the beholder or the sculptor. So you need to. So there's nothing wrong in it. Okay. Now, my definition, I also want to age gracefully, but I want to age youthfully. Right? I want to be graceful. I want to be youthful. I don't want to look haggard and look at myself and say, oh my God, what is this? Everything is dropping down like a bulldog. No, I don't want to be like that. That's my choice. So everybody has a choice. Some people would love gray hair. Some people
I
would
was just
love
going to say
colored
people
hair.
dye their
Yeah.
hair very
Yeah.
happily and
Yeah.
have no
So,
problem doing that.
Yeah, so some people love the gray hair. Some people love colored hair. Some people, so it's a choice. And if somebody has a choice and wants to do fillers, why should you ridicule them? And because everybody says, oh, she must have done this. These days, I'll tell you something. Even if you haven't done anything, even if you're innately beautiful, no, she must have done. She hasn't. I know her. I know her since she was a child. I've seen her grow.
It's
There are a
too
couple
good
of-
to be true.
there are a couple of actors who 23 years now. So they've actually grown with me. Maybe they're not doing it with you. They're going somewhere else. No. Please understand that there is, so that's the thing. And so I think automatically people want to hide because this is how they're perceived. Oh, you must have done. Nothing is natural. So what?
Yeah.
What is natural? You're going to the gym, you have appendectomy, take medicine, sit down, don't get operated. Don't go to the gym, don't buy jewelry, don't do makeup, no makeup. Why should you? What are you doing when you're doing makeup? You're camouflaging your whatever imperfections. Why are you doing it then? So that's very sort of contradictory, I feel. And I think it's time to come out in the open and stop saying, it's yoga and it's, good sleep and good diet and that's what, and good genes. No, genes, only 20% of your, whatever you have as you age is your genes. The remaining 80 is your diet, it's all holistic. Yes, diet plays a role, you can do the best of treatments on your face, but if you indulge in sugar or if you smoke or if you have alcohol, everything's going to go down the drain. It's going to show, right? You can do everything, but if you're unhappy inside, it's going to show.
Sure.
Right? We always say brides have a glow because they're so happy.
Yeah.
Right? So it is a holistic thing, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong in doing certain subtle tweakments. Do not overdo them.
I love that.
Do
Tweakments.
not-
I haven't
yes.
heard that word before, but yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think it comes down to balance, right? Like it's
Right.
like with anything in life. It's totally it's really about balance and not getting so obsessed to a
Yeah.
point where you're actually probably doing more harm than
True. There's also, I think, as dermatologists, we have a huge responsibility, and we should be able to put our foot down and tell our patients that, look, this is enough for you and don't cross the line. But sadly, what's happening, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but sadly, there are a number of private equity chains which are now opening up. There are a number of clinics where you have, non-dermatologists practicing. And, a couple of them I didn't even know. Very recently, I find out, oh, she's not a dermat, you know. So then you don't know how to treat a complication. And then you end up creating all these faces which look similar. They don't have expressions. Have you seen that nice emoji? It's my favorite one. The Botox emoticon. All the faces happy, sad, angry. Everybody's looking like that.
I love that.
Botox
emoticon.
So
never referred to it that way, but there's a first for everything. Yeah.
But if you look tired, okay, because your eyes are sunken, and I put in a little bit of filler there, what's the harm? Or if you're developing jowls and I put in a little filler at your jawline, into your jawline at the angle of the jaw, and try to lift your face and give you a nice structure, what is the harm? Right? If you're frowning all the time, you have that turned corners of the mouth, or you're frowning constantly. I have patients who come and say, oh, my daughter's so annoyed I'm frowning. But doc, I'm not frowning. It's the lines which have developed. So I give you a little Botox to relax that. And everybody is at home is very happy. Mom is not angry anymore. What is the harm?
I actually don't know. And for anyone who's listening and has a point of view on this, I'd love to hear what you have, what you think. But I have to say, I don't. So I think it's, again, like I said, it just comes down to balance and not crossing that line.
It comes down to balance. Everything, yes. Yeah. It's all about not crossing the line. So if you're frowning, do not do so much of Botox. So what is Botox? It's an injection. It's a medicine.
Yeah, what is Botox?
Correct. Yes, let's start with that. So people have this phobia with the moment you say Botox, oh my God, Botox. No, it's been there forever. It's a medicine that is injected into the muscles to relax those muscles. So whether you have a 10-year-old can have cerebral palsy and you can inject Botox. A 50-year-old can have migraine and can be treated with Botox. Cervical dystonias. My husband he's a GI surgeon. He uses Botox for during his surgeries inside, injects it into hernias and stuff. So it's a medicine. Now, very interestingly, Dr. Jean Caruthers, who is an ophthalmologist in Canada, back in the 80s, was using it for eyelid paralysis. So her patients were coming back and saying, very happy because their crow's feet were disappearing, right? So she came to her husband, Dr. Alistair Caruthers, both of my mentors, by the way, and said, look, you people are trying all these thousands of creams and nothing's working. I think I've got a cure. So the couple started doing a study and they realized that, Botox can also be used for cosmetic purposes. Now, initially, there was a lot of trial and error. And I must admit, when I started my, when I was studying I joined dermatology in 1996. Yeah, a lot of you, none of you were born. But that's when no one knew how many units to give. So you started giving 100 units, 200 units, you froze the face. And then you started sort of understanding and bringing it down. Now it's all about fewer units, just natural. Don't make the lines disappear. Let them be there, but let them be softer. Let them not just, few, little bit of few lines like this is all right, but you shouldn't be frozen. It's all about that now. You've evolved. We've also evolved. It's a learning curve.
Sure.
Right? So if you want to do Botox, do it. But again, in moderation, just to take off those lines and make your face look softer rather than looking frozen. And the effect lasts only for 4 months. It goes off. Now, if you don't want to repeat it after 4 months, don't do it. Is your face going to get worse after 4 months? No. If you're constantly moving these muscles,
back to its natural
it goes
state.
Back to its natural way. So, as long as you understand what it's doing, I do have some patients who say,
but what are the harmful, are there side effects or can it do harm to you?
It cannot do harm to you unless you inject 2,500 units of Botox, which can kill you, right? But it's a toxin, botulinum toxin. It's a purified protein derivative which is obtained from Clostridium tetani. But at any given point of time, I don't think we inject more for the entire face and, whatever. There's never more than maybe 50, 60 units. So there's no way we're reaching 2,500. So what are the side effects? There are no permanent side effects. Okay? Your one brow can go up, okay, or your face can look frozen. Now that's when your doses are incorrect. So if the injector knows the anatomy well and knows where to inject, because you can't, no, the muscles are intertwined, okay? There's a very small gap between two muscles. You have to hit the right muscle. So if you hit the wrong muscle, then instead of your face going like this, it can go like this. It can go a little wonky. And you may have to live like that for the next 6 to 8 weeks till the effect starts to wear off. It wears off. But what do you do for those 6 to 8 weeks? So those are the kind of side effects that you may see. But it doesn't really happen if the person is qualified. So look at the degrees. So if the person is a plastic surgeon, so like an MCH or a DNB in plastic surgery, or a dermatologist or an MD or a DVD or a DDV or a DNB, these are the degrees. People should know. Because otherwise, I've gone to the best because it's a beautiful place and, setup is great and this, that, the other. Qualification is zero. You don't know what the qualification is.
Sure.
You'll end up with all this. And there are tons of them in our country now, especially in Mumbai.
I'm sure. But, you also hear about the fillers that people take from like your bum and your this and your that. So is that trying to move away from the whole... the chemical part of it and just using, is that something that, I honestly, as you can see, I know very little about this, and but you do hear about these trends of using things from different parts of your body, and, what's the deal with that?
So those are fillers. We just finished talking about Botox.
Okay.
Fillers are completely different, right? Fillers, what is the name filler? Filler means if there's a hollow space, you're filling it up with something. So we use hyaluronic acid. So if you have sunken eyes, then you use hyaluronic acid. You have thin lips, you use hyaluronic acid fillers. As we age, our nose, the bone here, the spine, it's called the nasal spine, it starts to degrade, and so there's no support, so the nose starts to droop. So you put in a little filler to give support. You put in a little filler to give support at the jawline. So these are basically pre-filled syringes of hyaluronic acid which you inject. They're not Botox. Botox is injected into the muscle.
Okay.
Right? Fillers are just substances, like you have a pothole, you're filling it up, that's a filler. Okay? So you use it to fill, you use it to create pillars, you use it to rebuild the foundation that starts to collapse as you age. So that's the difference. Now, what are the side effects? You can have bruising, you can have swelling, and if that happens, I don't call them side effects because the face has 750 blood vessels. You poke, you may bleed, there may be a bruise. It's a natural phenomena. It will go off in a week. Okay? But there could be, ulcers, necrosis, and certain more deadly complications if the injector doesn't know where to inject. You've hit the wrong blood. If you've put product into a blood vessel, you've had it. So that is fillers. Now, coming to these trends about injecting fillers into the butt and injecting fillers into the thigh, injecting fillers over the soles. That's the latest, because, if you wear those big heels and you're not comfortable, you want a cushion, so you put fillers there. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So that's there. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk, but fillers,
You can say anything.
so fillers in the genitals, both male and female, So all of that is happening, and I think there we're going slightly cuckoo. I think he's laughing, but I think, what is the need? Why?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't wear those heels, right? If it's really hurting you. I've stopped. I used to, because I'm hardly 4 feet tall. So when I used to wear them. No, I'm a little more. I'm close to 5. But but the thing is that the day I realized that it's harming my back and it's hurting me, I said, chuck it. I wear flats in the clinic. You've seen me.
I'm only in flats.
So there are certain things which I think you can do
Avoid.
without. You can avoid. So that's going a bit much. Do I know the technique? Yes, I do. Sometimes it's sad. Sometimes I have done fillers for a woman because, she's going through a very traumatic period because her husband's not giving her enough attention and going somewhere else, and she doesn't want to leave the husband. Typical Indian woman wants to keep him. And so you say, okay, fine, you have that, you feel for the person and then you do it. Great, okay. But I'm not for it.
Talking of husbands, what's the ratio of men and women that come to you, and has that changed over the last few years? Because I know a lot of beauty products, and maybe it's just because that's what I notice, but a lot of them are directed at women. But I know that there's a lot for men as well. In fact, I'm always joking with my husband that he has more products than me because, as I said, I have like the bare minimum. But tell us about the men coming to you, and how has that shifted over the years?
Okay, first of all, men have skin too. They have the right to take care of their skin, and they should take care of their skin, I think. So it's a great shift, and it's for me, I am very happy. I still remember when, I started practice in 2000, and there was this 17-year-old kid who had come to the clinic, and he waited for precisely 5 minutes at the reception, and he disappeared. So when when my staff said, I get the names on my computer. So when I said, okay, call this guy, they said he's gone. And I knew the mother. So I called the mother and I said, your son's left. So she said, yeah, he was very embarrassed because there were 20 females sitting there. And, he was the only boy. And so he had some allergies or some eczema. It wasn't some beauty thing. But that was the mindset. Then I had men who would come with severe polymorphic light eruptions. That's a kind of sun allergy and, eczema. And I'd tell them, listen, use a sunscreen. They'd say, no, doc, give us a pill. So that was the mindset just not so long ago. I'm talking about 2000, 2001, 2002. Now, I think 40% of my clients are males. And, we used to call them patients all the time because we are doctors. But most of them get offended because they don't have an illness. So they say, no, we're not patients. So fine. So then we started getting used to it. Very difficult, but we've now started getting used to the word client. So now they come to us, not just for allergies or eczemas, but acne, hyperpigmentation. And then when you've treated them for that, they're like, okay, doc, what about our skincare routine? So then you give them a day routine, a night routine. Then they go on to say, okay, but what about our monthly maintenance? Should we come in and do some treatment every month? Which is great. I feel very happy. I'm like, good. Because this thing, in
they're
fact,
accepting that.
they're accepting that you need to be a certain way and you need to feel confident. And, okay, now, having good skin or looking beautiful doesn't mean having good features. You just can have a clear, radiant skin, whatever color. And that should be your aim, So I'm happy that 40% of them are males. And they do come in for a lot of cosmetic treatments, which is great. From hair removal, of the ear, okay, something as common as that, or the upper part of the cheek, so those kind of things, to sometimes fillers, sometimes skin tightening treatments, peels and stuff, and it's great. Now, if you look at the, even the website traction in 2020 versus 2021, there's a 400% jump. And then you have social media, everything's available on your button. So it's so easy now, I think. And I think there's going to be a jump from 643 million, I was reading up somewhere, where men's skincare products are concerned. In 2018, it was 643 million. And the jump by 2024 is going to be 1.4 billion.
Wow.
Just for men's skincare. So that speaks a lot. That
sure.
speaks a lot. But having said that, men and women's skincare is not very different,
Sure.
Yeah.
And before we all forget, skin is the largest organ in our body. So everyone needs to take care of it, basically. So, yeah. We were talking about trust and, what's on packaging. I have to say that, so I have been for a facial to, I do go once in a while for the facial because I've been reminded about how much dead skin we have, which we don't realize, we don't see. And, uh, and I get asked things like, and this goes back to that whole fairness question. I'm like, they're like, do you want to have an additional detanning treatment? And and I'm like, is this just someone saying something to make my skin fairer? Like, and there's often this issue of trust, right? That do you feel like you're just being told that there's something wrong with your skin,
Yeah.
or there's this, and how do people who aren't kind of really clued into this and are trying to like take care of themselves in some small way, and then being told that you really need to do this, you really need to sort of uh, you know come once a month or come this frequency or that frequency. How does someone really navigate this without having to like always come and consult a dermatologist, or is that really the only way to do this?
Uh, Sadly, that's not the only way, because I know that a lot of dermatologists are now also beginning to give packages and so many treatments and add-ons. And um, I don't know whether it is something to do with business, or they're trying to cope with all the other peripheral tiny things, which salons which are cropping up, and trying to take away the practice, or I don't know what the deal is. But um, I think we should understand that skincare is important, but following a routine, eating a healthy diet, exercising, sleeping well, trying not to smoke, not to have too much alcohol, etc., is very important. But doing these treatments, you said you get a facial done. I've never got a facial done in my life. Actually, once. I've only had a facial once. So really, I
Because
mean,
you can do it at home
you
yourself,
can do it
basically.
at home. You can do, like, you can do, as I said, you can do basin, you can do oats, something like that. Uh, the skin has its own mechanism of exfoliating. So, but yes, as we age, that slows down. So use some nice serums. Use an AHA serum twice a week, or use a BHA serum if you have oily skin. So use that. And I think it's good enough. You want to pamper yourself and you want to feel good, then please go ahead and do a facial. Having said that, we have tons of medifacials in the clinic, but do I force them? No. You want to do them because you have an event and you want that party glow, you have a wedding to go to, you want to look nice, not look fair, look nice, right? Let your makeup also glow. Or you want, it's that trend of minimalism. You don't want makeup, you want to look nice. You can do those treatments, but nothing is compulsory. Please understand that. What is compulsory is good food, no vices, and a good skincare routine.
Well, speaking of that, I know that we've always heard the effect of less sleep and stress on our skin, and of course, everyone's lifestyle is going, people
Ballistic.
ballistic, yeah, and it can impact, you through acne, eczema, psoriasis, like all these are, a lot of them are actually stem from stress,
Yep.
right? So, I'm sure there's a whole scientific and biological sort of theory behind how this impacts us externally. But can you kind of break, like, just sort of
Yeah.
explain it in layman's terms to
Yeah.
why sleep and stress impact us physically on our skin?
So I think sleep and stress go hand in hand. When you sleep, you have this hormone called melatonin, which is released, and that in a lot of ways helps in repairing the skin. Okay, which is why sleep is important. And if you don't sleep adequately, you may end up with headaches the next day, or a heavy head, or you're not fresh. That leads to stress, and then stress just releases a bunch of these hormones, typically the cortisol, the cortisol hormone, and everything that goes along with it, which will stimulate. It's like a cascade. Okay, you stress, your pituitary and the hypothalamus, is stimulated. Then those will go to the adrenal cortex, which is lying above the kidneys. There, they are secreting cortisol. That cortisol is going to your oil gland, which is the sebaceous gland. That is giving a signal, so it starts producing more oil. When it starts producing more oil, that oil doesn't know how to get out of the pore, gets clogged. Then you have more bacteria, then you have acne. So that's acne. So the same thing happens with melanin. It starts, the cells, which the melanocytes will start producing more melanin. There'll be a dispersion of melanin everywhere. There's uneven skin tone, dark circles. Okay, collagen degradation. Okay, so that happens at a faster rate when you're stressing because of all these hormones which are released. So it's a cycle. So I had just done a reel the other day because it was trending where we said stress causes acne, but acne causes stress.
I saw that. This, whatever that thing's called, where everyone's doing this.
You've got to.
By the way, you love your reels. I can see. So and you're very good at them.
You've got to. So I'm a Bachchan follower. Everybody knows it. I mean, he's his inspiration. He always says you've got to adapt. So at his age also he does everything to adapt to what's going on current. So when I started the dance reels, because of my American colleagues, listen, I was not the first one to start this. Okay, all my friends in America, in their 50s and 60s, were also doing the dance moves, and I said, why not? And I was the first one to start it in India. People trolled me, and then now everybody's doing it. But that's the way to get to the younger generation. So if I can tell them that, listen, use a sunscreen, 2 fingers, but dance and tell them, and they understand that, so be it. So anyway, coming back to this, so stress directly has that impact, and it's very important. Tomorrow I have a wedding, I shouldn't get a pimple on my face. In the morning, you'll get a pimple. That's the stress mechanism. So, and we all know it's not just skin, it's also your internal organs which degenerate if you stress. So there's a direct impact. There's an impact on hair. Okay, now with stress, again, because of these hormones, your DHT level raises, the dihydrotestosterone, and you have this, the hair are always in an anagen cycle most of the time, which is the growth cycle. When you stress, they get pushed into the telogen, which is the shedding cycle, at a faster rate. And then you begin to shed hair. And then you stress about that. And then you allow the anagen to go back into telogen. So you're pushing it back and forth. So that's again stress. Stress in the form of an illness also causes something called telogen. Stress in the form of pregnancy also causes something called telogen, where you shed hair. Post-COVID, the body is under stress. You shed hair. That's all because of the hormones. The hormones are these the body is a very sophisticated machine. Nobody's been able to, understand it 100%. So yeah, that's what it is.
Moral of the story is avoid stress.
Yeah, I mean, you can't avoid it.
Minimize
All of us,
it.
Yeah, I think learn to deal with it.
Yeah.
COVID has taught us a lot. Most of us are now, I always believed in it, but everybody says meditate. It's not so easy to meditate.
It's true.
Okay?
I agree.
I mean, fine. It's good to say, oh, please go meditate. You can try and do pranayam. That helps. Pick a hobby. Okay? So just shut your door and dance for 10 minutes if you want to do that. Put the most tapori song and dance. That's releasing stress. You want to sing. You want to paint, do that. Nobody gives time for themselves these days.
True.
Take out half an hour for yourself. That's a stress buster.
Great. What is the recommended age to start a skincare routine? And, what are some of the things that one should do at a minimum on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
Skincare, I think, begins when you're born, right?
That's true. We give babies malish and
There you go. You do the malish. You apply all the oils. That's moisturizing. You do the basin, stuff which is cleansing. You wrap the baby in cloth. You don't want the baby to be exposed to sunlight. That is protection
And
from
cold,
sun
yeah.
and cold. So, yes, you can't apply all these products to a toddler. So we say after the age of 1, you can't use sunscreen below 1. But I would say once you've crossed 10 is when you should begin your basic skincare at least. And that would just mean a moisturizer and a sunscreen. Sunscreen when you're outdoors, moisturizer at least once in a day. When you're in your 20s, I mean, I'm a big believer of less is more. I don't believe in 10 layers that people talk of, and I've had many debates with people, and it's really not needed. But I think you cleanse, you moisturize and use a sunscreen in your 20s. Focus on your diet. Do that at night. Sunscreen omit at night, but just cleanse. Do not forget to remove your makeup. cleanse your face, apply a moisturizer, or if you have acne, you need an anti-acne cream, or if you have whatever your doctor's prescribed, and that's it. In your 30s is when you might want to add, or in your late 20s also, you might want to add a vitamin C serum because it's a very potent antioxidant. And some of the good brands, again, not the expensive brands, but the good brands do you good. They do your skin good. So they're more preventative. If you take good care of your skin at an early age, you're not going to give us business. Let me put it that way, right? So, yeah. So I think, so add a vitamin C. And then maybe in your late 30s, you can add a retinol twice a week. These are they're versatile ingredients, C and A. Retinol is A. So C is an antioxidant, protects you against pollution, sun, free radicals, smoke, all of that. A, on the other hand, that is a retinol, is reducing your acne because it is reducing your oil secretion. It's reducing pigment, hyperpigmentation. It's building collagen. So again, a versatile ingredient, very unsafe in pregnancy. So keep that in mind. But otherwise, that's something you can add. And then maybe later on in your 50s, you can add, or late 40s, you can add a peptide. But everything else that you read about is something that your dermatologist will tell you only if you need it. It's not a necessity. It's not a compulsion. So that is something, I have to use niacinamide, I must use AHA, I have to use BHA. No, please.
Okay, so we're right at the end anyway. So
how's it going? By
very
the way?
good, very good. I'm intrigued. I don't know.
Okay.
You guys are listening.
You're enjoying? Okay, fine. If the men are enjoying, then I'm happy.
No, and it's good if you're open and frank.
Skincare and men are enjoying.
Yeah, exactly. No hair dye.
Which is great.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break before we enter the last segment of the show, which is a fun rapid fire. So stay tuned.
I have a very funny story. Can I say it? Hi, I'm Shweta. I'm Navya's mother.
Hi, I'm Shweta. I'm Navya's mother.
I am Navya's nanny. My name is Jaya Bachchan.
I got nothing over here, guys.
It's a big day for me. Okay, start. What the hell?
I was saying something very nice and empowering and you just interrupted me.
Don't complain. Don't explain. Never explain.
Let me say it.
I have my little secrets. Hello, madam. How are you? I got your number. I told you don't get me started. Mom. When you want to do money pinching, you're also very good. I've seen you. I've noticed. I finished these many books. You're still on your first book. I finished so many books. I'm like, what the hell?
Leave me alone.
Definition of love has changed today. I'm too old for all this. Navya, there's a wonderful lake. Go and jump into
and
it.
drown
and
in it. And she does.
Oh my God, stop.
What are you saying?
What the hell? It's important to have friends.
My best friends have been Navya and Shweta.
Aww. I have a problem saying no.
You better learn. It's the
the
best,
best word.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Okay.
What the hell?
What the hell, Navya? You're saying this podcast is called What the Hell, Navya? I have at least 3 What the Hell, Navya episodes in a day.
Okay, so Dr. Sharad, we're back, and thank you for all your insight and, giving us lots of food for thought. But I'm going to ask you something else, a different kind of food. What's your go-to meal, comfort meal?
Dal chawal with a lot of ghee.
What are 3 must-have products which one should always carry in one's handbag?
I think a moisturizer, sunscreen, and a lip balm.
What's the best investment you've made in your journey so far?
Studying, the fellowships that I've done, I had no money. I come from a very lower middle class background. So once I started practice, I was doing dermatology. 4 years down the line, I collected money, and I would appear for every other scholarship. And luckily, I got scholarships. But when you get scholarships, it's only the fee, right? But the stay, I mean, if you have to stay in the States, wherever you have to stay, in a decent place, and the food and the flight tickets and everything's expensive. You can't afford it. So then, those 4 years of whatever money I earned, I put it into that. I went, I educated myself, and then there's no looking back. So I think that.
Amazing. What's your definition of success?
I don't make plans. I am a hard worker, perseverant. So dedication, discipline, honesty, hard work, perseverance. And to be really up to date and adapt yourself to everything that's happening.
Great. And if not a dermatologist, what would you have been?
An author?
Oh,
I'm already an author. I love to write.
that's true. You're coming up on your third book, which is amazing, in a few months.
Yeah, I might do fiction sometime. You never know. I love to write. I do write small pieces of fiction here and there just for myself, maybe my husband. But yeah, I would have been.
Amazing. Listen, thank you so much for being on the show, and you've definitely made me think a lot about it. And I love that you've just simplified it for us, and and not said that we have to do hundreds of things, and also just the way we think about the things which aren't generally considered taboo. So I'm really glad that to have you on today, and thank you for being so candid.
Thank you so, so much. It was an honor, and I really enjoyed myself, and such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.